This weekend, Virginia International Raceway and the Sports Car Club of America combine to form a mecca for lovers of sports car racing. Almost 500 drivers in over 20 classes do battle in a race for the gold. Since 1964, the SCCA has been crowning national champions at its annual runoffs. It's the peak of the Summit Racing Equipment SCCA road racing program. For the second straight year, welcome to the track that Paul Newman once called Heaven on Earth for the historic 60th running of the SCCA Runoffs. Welcome to the beautiful Virginia International Raceway as we bring you the final day of competition for the 60th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Thanks to Mazda for making these broadcasts possible. Look at this place. It is absolutely a showplace of North American road courses. Really an old school, old style natural terrain road course weaving its way through the hills of Southern Virginia right on the North Carolina line. And this is one of my favorite classes as the Formula F. We used to call it Formula Ford, and we'll talk a little bit about Ford here in a minute, but Formula F coming up, and small field, but a mighty one. And down there right amongst them is Hayward Wagner, the third member of our broadcast team.
Yeah, guys, it is bright sunshine here on the grid for the Formula F race. These guys have not been in the cars since Thursday, and on Thursday it was a little more overcast, a little cool, so we're going to see these cars in a bit of a condition we haven't seen before. On the pole, Nolan Allaer, that is a Ford-powered car. You mentioned already, John, that we'd be talking about Ford. This car was the last Ford power car to win FF at the runoffs. It was Road America 2011 with Nolan's uncle driving the car. So this is a lot of history in this car. And then, of course, as you look down the field, lots of drivers here that have lots of experience. This is going to be a drafting class. You guys are going to obviously talk about that throughout the broadcast. I was talking to Nolan's dad, Rob. I said, do you want to lead this race? He said, not on the last lap out of Oak Tree. And I said, what about out of Hog Pen? He said, that might not be good either. They really think that whoever comes out of Hog Pen second on the last lap is going to have the best shot at it. Last kind of developing story, it looks like Tim Katz is just now rolling into grid. So your fifth place qualifier getting here after the 3-minute board went up.
Thanks, Hayward. Appreciate that. As we are indeed got some stories to tell. Sitting alongside me is now 5-time Solo Nationals champion and the 2022 Driver of Eminence at the Solo Nationals, Larry McLeod. Larry, so good to have you with me once again, and some great stories at the sharp edge of this field, for sure.
Yeah, there are. We talk a little bit about Nolan Allaer and running in that Ford that he's going to be out there, as well as the 4-time national champion. Going to be out there with them. Of course, that's Jonathan Kotyk. But they've got to get around this beautiful VIR track, and they're going to have to go down into one, that kind of downhill braking, carousel-like turn where they're going to come off of 1, head to NASCAR 3, and left hook 4 where it tightens up, kind of bend around turn 5. Hopefully they've got it straightened out as they go through the lower S's known as the snake. Then they start climbing the upper S's, 7, 8, and 9, where these cars will nearly flat, just flinging around turn 10. You're going to see them all sorts of sliding around 10 as they go down the little hill, back on up to brake for 11 and 12. Come off of Oak Tree, big drafting opportunity down the back straight. It's more of an up. It's a big hill. And they're going to get to the top of the roller coaster, 14, 15, 16. And then, as Hayward was talking about, 17 Hog Pen. Leading Hog Pen may not be where you want to be, but if you got a big enough margin, maybe it sticks. There's going to be a chess match that'll play out here to see.
Absolutely right. And again, looking forward to this one for sure. We've got a couple drivers that, it's mostly a young field or drivers that don't have a whole lot of runoff starts. Only 25 starts among the 9 drivers here, or 8 drivers, should we say, in the field. And the most is Robert Perona in the number 73. This is his 9th runoff start. Some success already for Nolan Allaer. We'll talk a little bit about his journey back and forth across the Atlantic here this summer. But Nolan won the Formula Continental race earlier this weekend, and so he's looking to sweep the 2 classes that he's competed in. Finished in front of his dad for a 1-2 Allaer finish in Formula Continental. Let's go ahead and introduce the starters. as on the outside of row number 4 is the 62 of Robert Gross out of Washington Township, Michigan in the Detroit region in a Piper DL7 Honda. Next to him is the number 14 of Matt Boyan out of the Southwest Louisiana region in another Piper Honda. We talked about Robert Perona with his 8 previous runoff starts. He'll start outside of row 3 in the 73 car. He's out of the Indianapolis region in a Piper Honda. Next to him, the 88 of Calvin Kautz, who was late to the grid from Geneva, Illinois, in the Chicago region. He is also in a Piper Honda. In row 2 on the outside, car 27, Zachary Rivard out of the Ohio Valley region. He is in a Van Diemen RF99 Honda. Next to him, the 2 of William Ferguson from the San Francisco region. Long toe for William. He's in a Piper Honda. In his 7th runoff start is the 08 of Jonathan Kotyk out of the Buccaneer region. He is a 4-time champion and the defending champion of the class. He is in the only Magala in the field, Honda powered. And then we talked about Nolan Allaer in the out of Grosse Pointe, Michigan in the Detroit region in his Van Diemen RF00 Ford. The same car that his uncle Lewis Cooper won this class in, and he's the only Ford in the field, and it's been a long time since a Ford has won this race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how well tuned that car is. I know he's got a great prep team working on it. Those are carbureted motors, so there is a little bit of tweaking you're doing right up until the end. But all the rest of the field, fuel-injected Honda Fit motors, those 1600s, that they'll all be running. It's kind of an easy set-it-and-forget-it package. The Kent motor that's in the Ford, a little bit more finicky. Also notice, take a look at this. You've got Allaer way out in front, up behind that pace car. Kotyk kind of staying back from Nolan, just doing his own thing, scrubbing tires. Everyone's going to be out there probably on a fresh set. This is the warmest temperatures they have seen. They had overcast temps on their Tuesday and on Thursday. I don't even think any of them bother going out on Wednesday with a little bit of misty conditions.
Yep.
So this is going to be interesting as the hottest temperatures that they've seen. How do they respond? What does that first lap look like? And how much heat can they get in the tires from the get-go?
These are the fastest cars of the non-wings and slicks Formula cars. As you notice, no wings, front or rear, as these Formula Fords are all about low drag, all about generating good mechanical grip.
Yeah.
And they look almost spindly compared to the sort of the modern day Formula cars that we're used to seeing.
Well, one of the other classes we saw is the F600s, and these often in the majors races, regional races, the F600s and the Formula Fs all run together. They end up with similar lap times, but
Yep.
the F600s are screamers in a straight line. These carry the speed, all that mechanical grip you were talking about. These things are incredibly well balanced, so much grip. The suspensions are very well developed on these things, but they're also very streamlined, very sleek. There's nearly no drag in this because they don't have a lot of power. Draft is very important for these drivers. You'll see it coming off Oak Tree. You'll see it coming off a Hog Pen. It becomes a chess match as the race progresses, though.
Want to acknowledge Nolan Allaer, of course, the winner of the prestigious Tire Rack Pole Award, given to all the pole sitters and the runoffs classes. The Tire Rack Pole Award entails a gift certificate for the tire rack as well as some other swag. Great for the Martini livery. The family always with that Martini livery, the Allaer family. Nolan, a third-generation racer, spending a lot of time in cars just like this over in Great Britain. We'll talk more about that as the race wears on.
His dad, a 2-time national champion in FC as well, so there's a lot of success in that family that he's trying to continue.
Exactly right, as they'll begin to form up. Thanks to our Mazda for providing the safety cars for the weekend, and Sport Durst Mazda in Durham, North Carolina, helping us with the safety cars. Multiple safety cars around the field as they're getting lined up, and again, it looks like Kotyk not quite wanting to be alongside Nolan Allaer. Again, that's a little bit of a strategy move, perhaps. Allaer accelerates, the green flag is away, and he's going to get a little bit of a jump side by side between Kotyk and William Ferguson as they head down toward turn number 1, fanning out 3 wide into the first turn. Allaer guarding that inside line because the 2-car of Ferguson trying to get inside of him but not able to get it done. Ferguson's going to take second place for the moment, but Kotyk, the 4-time and defending champion, sweeps around the inside at NASCAR, and he's able to slot into second spot. Ferguson in third as they work their way into left hook for the first time. Oh, big brake lock up there for one of the cars as they works his way. That's the
That's the 73 of Perona.
Yeah, Rob Perona, sorry. Yeah, you're exactly right. As they work their way through the snake, but Allaer out in front Let's see how well tuned that Ford engine is. As you said, that's going to be critical. But Ferguson all over Kotyk as they work their way into the climbing S's for the first time.
Yeah, Ferguson, a Team USA scholarship winner. He's run rock karts, he's run F4, run a lot of different things. He's going to be one to contend with here. But as we talk about Kotyk, kind of the specialist here. He's got 4 out of the last 5 championships in this class. He's always a contender. I talked to him this morning. He seemed to be a little confident. There's Rivard, a little bit of slide there at Oak Tree. But for Kotyk, very confident this morning. Look at him already now pulling up alongside Allaer coming off Oak Tree.
Yeah, gets a good exit coming off Oak Tree, a very important turn. And Kotyk with a nose ahead, and it looks like Ferguson's going to try to come with him as they work their way up the hill. Kotyk in the Migala, Ferguson in the Piper, but Allaer hanging strong on the outside. He's not going to give up easily, but he slots into second. A little wiggle as they're all on cold tires here, working their way down the hill from the roller coaster for the first time through 16A and B. Jonathan Kotyk showing the way, the 4-time champion, looking to make it 5 if he can. Nolan Allaer looking for his 2nd championship of the weekend. He gets a great run off of Hogpen.
Yeah, showing some really good motor in that car, too, down that back straight. I thought by chance maybe a bit of a push draft that Kotyk was going to get. Allaer was able to hold with him, and you can see down the front straight, he uses that draft, pops out to the outside, and he's got a really good line going through 1.
Ferguson also with a lot of motor, as we saw on the start, as he was able to draft by Jonathan Kotyk. But he has to settle for 3rd now as Kotyk once again taking the lead out of turn number 1. Allaer right there on his gearbox as they work their way through NASCAR and into the left hook.
Kotyk, great positioning in 1. I thought maybe Allaer was going to have a really good run. Kotyk, just enough of a nose there to make Allaer think about it, and that allowed him to get up under the inside through the subsequent corners, and now he's leading the train as they go through the lower S's. The snake there, Allaer had it before. This time it's Kotyk's turn to lead that train. Behind them, there's a great battle going on there as well between those next 3 with Perona, and I think might have Calvin Kautz in that group as well.
Yeah, Zachary Rivard at the front of that group, despite his little bobble there at Oak Tree on the first lap. But Kotyk and Allaer glued together as they work their way through South Bend and now into the double apex right-hander at Oak Tree.
A lot of this close racing experience pays off. When we talk about Kotyk and his experience in these cars in particular at this run, at the club level, as well as a lot of other series. With Nolan Allaer, a lot of experience this summer. He's been running the British Formula Fords. They run a spec tire that doesn't have this kind of grip that the Hoosiers have here, so he's having to come to grips, all puns intended on that one. And but he seems to be doing just fine as now they're again too wide going into the braking zone for roller coaster.
Kotyk did his best to break the draft, weaving his way up Madison Avenue, but Allaer and Ferguson able to take advantage of that double draft and have worked their way around into the lead.
It's a 6-car pack, though. Take a look right behind them. Zach Rivard has pulled up, and he's got Perona. He's got Calvin Kautz, the 2nd-generation driver. That Kautz car, that's Tim's, his father, former champion in this class. Calvin out there in that beautiful chrome and red, now in this 6-car train.
Ferguson's definitely got some motor in that car. As you saw, Jonathan Kotyk was trying to pull alongside, take advantage of the draft, but Ferguson was able to power ahead and maintain that 2nd place. Now the question is, can either of them get inside of Nolan Allaer as they come down into NASCAR? The last couple of laps, Allaer's had to relinquish the lead at this point of the track, but this time he's gotten it working. I think that car's maybe handling a little better. He's got some temperature in the tires, and he's a little more comfortable putting some pressure on.
And we haven't seen much out of Ferguson yet. It's been, see Allaer, a little bit of curb there, coming around 5, sliding the car out a bit. But we haven't seen much out of Ferguson. Now that he's in the 2nd spot, see if he pressures onto the back of Allaer, where Kotyk now seems to be patient, even so much as that looks like Rivard trying to make a move going towards the uphill S's.
Indeed he is, yeah. Rivard put some pressure on Kotyk. He's got to watch his mirrors as much as he's watching this battle up in front of him, as Rivard now makes it a 4-car breakaway at the front. Not that far back, Robert Perona in that red Piper, Calvin Kautz, Matt Boyan, and Robert Gross, the rest of the field, as we are working race lap number 3.
Ferguson in that number 2, a runoffs rookie, but as mentioned, he's got some credentials running a lot of other things and some other series around us, such as the F4 and others. So he's got tons of experience, even if it hasn't been here at the runoffs. Now he's up against the other one with experience, and that's Nolan Allaer. And look at the draft that Ferguson has going up that hill.
Indeed, and like I said, his car is shown to have some motor, and now it's going to be 3 wide as Kotyk pulls to the outside of Allaer, but then drops back into 3rd spot as they go single file into the roller coaster.
It's been interesting. No one's been able to draft and pass Allaer on that back straight. Maybe that Kent motor's got a little something for these Hondas today.
Yeah, it could well be. Or Aller's not showing his hand just yet, as the lap he needs to lead is lap number 15.
Yep.
Leading lap number 3 doesn't mean much. Now here again, watch Kotyk pull out, but Ferguson has enough motor to be able to keep him at bay as Kotyk gets maybe alongside, but he can't draft by. But here comes a Rivard once again as he's going to try to follow Kotyk through. Can't get it done, though.
Allaer defensive on the inside. Really kind of wanted to hold that line through 1. Didn't want to give anything to Ferguson behind him. Kotyk just sort of picking his spots. I worry about these guys doing these kind of moves where they start to go 3 wide and then come back together, go 3 wide, come back together. That creates blind spots in these. They've got to really be careful to not duck back in and suddenly have somebody try to occupy the same space. But look at Rivard right up under the back of Kotyk now. It is a solid nose-to-tail 4-car train.
Yeah, no kidding. And, they have to be real careful not to interlock wheels because they could definitely go for a tumble if they make tire-to-tire contact here.
I'll tell you, the slipperiest car in the field right now might be Calvin Couts in that nice, beautiful, slippery, chrome-looking car. 138 miles an hour in the speed traps, the fastest we've seen all week by any of these Formula Fs.
One of the contingency awards that are offered throughout the course of the qualifying weekend is the Sunoco 260 award. It's kind of a fun award to promote their Sunoco 260 fuel. And the driver who on Tuesday, the first qualifying day, comes closest for the 3 digits after the decimal point, closest to 260, wins 15 gallons of Sunoco fuel, and Nolan Allaer takes that honors with a 249. Once again, weaving back and forth. Here we go, 3 abreast once again as they approach the big end of the Madison Avenue straight, but Allaer maintaining his line and is able to hang on to that spot.
Either he's much better on the brakes or Ferguson's not showing how late he can brake, because every single time Allaer seems to be the one leading down roller coaster. Ferguson, just like Couts before, was willing to back off, not doing a braking contest yet this early in the stages. But it's interesting to see, again, Allaer with the nose ahead when they do go to those brakes. But someone at some point has to show something. Ferguson looks aggressive. He popped in front of Kotyk before they went to the brakes. Look at him now, popping around and dancing around Allaer as they go down towards 1. Is he going to try to move out and then back in, try to up and under him?
Yeah, rather than stay single file, they pop out 3 wide once again in the braking zone for turn 1. But Allaer able to get it done as Ferguson slots into second. Kotyk, the 4-time and defending champion, into the 3rd spot. Zachary Rivard dropping off that just a little bit, but a good battle behind him. We haven't talked much about that of Calvin Couts and Robert Perona.
Yeah, got a good shot of Calvin Couts there. Again, that's the chassis that his father drove. As I was told, his mother's listening or watching along at home. Hi, Mom. They've got the Halo on that car. So they're testing it out. They did a lot of engineering development to be able to put that Halo on the same exact chassis as Dad used to drive. Safety first. It's a really neat setup what they put in there. It's kind of hinged, so they kind of bolt it down to the front, hinge it in the back, make it a little easier to get in and out of the car. But you know what? These cars, that seems to be the future of these cars. It's really neat now in the Formula Fs to be able to outfit the car with that.
Yeah, we run into that in my championships as well, as I announced the US F4 championships. The first generation F4 car did not have the Halo, and we're introducing the second generation car for next season, and it does have the Halo. So that's very much something that you're seeing, as Allaer weaving just a bit, trying to break the draft, but Ferguson not taking the bait. He stays right there. And Kotyk just taking the shortest distance between 2 points, as these two weaving in front of him. But Allaer just kind of imperious at the front, able to get it done. Look at the slip angle of Aller's car as he tucks it down into the roller coaster.
Yeah, that slip angle is tough on tires as the race progresses. Keep your eye on him. Again, this is the warmest temperatures we have seen all week long. The track temp is definitely up a lot. So the more he starts sliding, the more those tires could start going away. So he's got to watch that. Looking at the body language of Kotyk, he almost looks like he's just looking for visibility. He's just looking for a place to see. But in front of him, Ferguson keeps going left and right and left and right. And so Kotyk's he's like just sort of in his vision.
Yeah.
And he just wants to see his next mark. He wants to keep an eye on where Allaer is. But every time there's this orange thing in front of him, he has to kind of look around.
Exactly. Yeah, I saw a lap ago, Kotyk making a hand gesture, I think, to Ferguson to say, hey, stay in line. Let's draft with this guy, and that way we can stay with him. But there is nothing in it between these three. Their lap times are virtually identical. Look at that, within a tenth, all. And Allaer setting the fast lap of the race at 2 minutes, 0.807. Quickest lap so far.
Well, the track record holder around here is Kotyk. Set that last year at the April event at 2 minute, 2 minute 0.77. They're currently at a 2 minute 0.80. They're 3/100ths away from track record. And in this train, that's pretty impressive how well they're holding this together and running these quick lap times.
Exactly right.
Shows you how strong that draft is in these cars. They're running about a half a second quicker than the Rivard, Perona, and Calvin Kout's train behind them.
That Van Diemen chassis and that Nolan Allaer is running is a RF00, meaning it was new in 2000s. It's had some massaging since to keep it more up to date. It's a 20-year-old chassis. Ralph Furman, of course, the designing wizard behind the Van Diemens of that era.
It's just fascinating. Watching Kotyk left to right, I don't know if he's trying to anticipate which way Allaer's going or if he really is just trying to see, or maybe he feels like he doesn't need the draft as much and he's not going to make a pass anyway, so may as well just kind of stay out of it a little bit. Just fascinating to watch them.
It's interesting to see these cars, in the Formula F cars, how much more upright the driving position is than the more contemporary cars, where the driver is literally laying back with his feet up on the they say it's like laying down in a tub with your feet up on the spigots. These drivers are sitting up much more upright. You can see how tall these cars are by comparison.
A little slow on the entry for Allaer. Ferguson kind of jumps to the inside. It's the first time we've seen him really go side by side now in a couple laps. It's like, oh, there's something behind him.
Yeah, somebody went off, dropped some wheels off at turn 1. And that was Koutz as he went wide, but he's able to keep it going and gets it back on track. But this lead trio disappears through left hook. And it looks like Robert Perona has moved around Zach Rivard to take over that 4th spot.
I remember Rivard was right up with that front 3, lost pace with them. It shows you how fast that front 3 is running. But now it's Perona and Rivard battling for that that 5th spot, or sorry, the 4th spot now, with Koutz having gone off and back on.
And look at that, Koutz set fast lap of the race and maybe carried a little too much speed into turn 1 as Calvin Koutz from 5th spot, or even lower than that now after that off course at turn 1. Set quickest lap of the race.
Well, he's got lap record by about, I don't know, it's about 9 thousandths or so over the prior record, but I don't know if that's going to stand. Again, look at this. Look at what Kotyk is doing. He's just staying to the right. I don't know if he's just trying to get more air in his radiators, or he just doesn't want to be any part of whatever Ferguson might be up to. This is just fascinating to watch. So he's just going to sit back and let these two younger drivers figure this out.
We're approaching the halfway point of this race, and we want to step aside for just a brief moment and thank some of the fine sponsors that make the racing possible here at the 60th running of the SCCA Championship Runoffs.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer on the way home after a day at the track. And say you have an accident. Ouch! But at least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Your standard insurance probably won't pay to replace your car. That's true whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or in the repair shop. If you want to be covered for the whole value of your race car, you need guaranteed value coverage from Hagerty. We agree on an accurate value up front, and in the event of a covered total loss anywhere off the track, we pay that amount. You'll be protected in storage, in transit, in the paddock, or a repair shop against collision, fire, theft, no matter what or where you race. All for less per year than you spend on a set of racing tires. Hagerty, let's drive together.
A car like this shouldn't exist. Something this big, this luxurious, shouldn't move like a Mazda. And yet, it does.
Oh my God, it sounds epic as well. This car is an SUV with bragging rights.
The 3-row Mazda CX-90.
Welcome back to this fantastic battle for Formula F as we continue our coverage of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. I'm John Phippen alongside Larry McLeod. Hayward Wagner down in the pits, and we've got a new second place runner, and now we have a new leader, Larry.
We do, as Kotyk may have just been kind of cooling things for a charge to the front, and he's done exactly that while we were on break. He was able to get around Ferguson, and as we come back, he goes around Allaer to take the lead here just past the halfway point. He might be thinking this is his time to control the race.
I want to thank the fine folks at Apex Broadcasting bringing us these fantastic pictures, and they've got a treat for us as we've got a replay that happened during the break of that pass for second. But look, here comes Allaer coming back at him. That Kent has got some grunt, man.
And just make a note, he was ahead at the stripe, and just like Hayward said at the top, he who leads out of Hogpen may not be able to win this race, and that's how it just went. Let's see it. Keep our eye on that if they do that a few more times.
Coming down into NASCAR. Allaer going to maintain that lead right now, but now he's got Kotyk as his closest pursuer. That's the way it was early on. This was the alignment in the early laps of this race, and then Ferguson was able to get by Kotyk and maintain that second spot for much of the middle stages, but we're working race lap 9 now as we're getting into the second half of this one. And Allaer has still been able to stay out in front, at the line at least. But here comes Kotyk. He's going to try to make a move into the climbing S's. But, oh, that was not the place to try to make that pass.
I don't know that I think he was just, again, trying to get under the skin of Nolan Allaer. I think that's all there was. I don't think he ever had intent. He's too smart of a veteran to try something hectic right there at this stage of the race. I think that's just to tell Nolan, I can go faster here. I'm faster than you. I know I am, and I'm letting you lead. I think that's what he's trying to tell the younger Allaer.
Allaer's a pretty cool and calm character in his own, so he's mature beyond his years. Here comes Kotyk pulling out to the driver's left as he's going to go side by side with Allaer. This will be the true measure of who's got the most power under their right foot, as Allaer able to maintain that advantage.
That Ford is strong.
Yeah, it is.
He's got the air push behind him from Ferguson as well. Getting a little bit aero push from the back can help you, and I'm wondering if it comes down to the end, if that's something Kotyk's going to need. He might need Ferguson to help push him. That time Ferguson chose his horse as the white car out front and pushed Allaer along.
Great battle just behind him. Robert Perona in that red Piper, the number 73, with Zach Rivard just behind him in the blue and yellow Van Diemen as they work their way down the hill. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle from Perona. That's going to open the door for Rivard to perhaps draft by him once again.
Perona, 9 starts. He's got 2 prior podiums. Rivard, only in his second start. He was 4th back in 19, so he got experience, kind of, again, more of that youth. And look at this, Ferguson now to the front.
And Kotyk goes with him. Allaer back to 3rd, I think, for the first time in this race. So now Ferguson taking the point. Kotyk in 2nd. As Kotyk, again, has also shown, of the Hondas at least, he seems to have the most motor, as we're going to get a replay of this as they dive down into turn number 1. Kotyk having the inside line. Allaer tries to ride around the outside, but can't quite do it.
He gets too wide. I think there's a little bit of debris, a little bit of rubber out there, a little clag on the outside that he might have gotten caught in, and that just that's a lesson learned for the later in the race here to not necessarily be that wide. He was within about a foot of the edge of the track. You probably need to be about a foot or so narrower. But he's learned his lesson, no harm, nothing there. But now, again, we're back to this train of 1, 2, 3. Let's see if Allaer motors by them this time down the back straight, because we haven't seen him getting that double draft. Let's see if he can get all the way to the front coming off of Oak Tree.
Yeah, this is the first time he's been 3rd in this race, if memory serves, as they work their way through Oak Tree. He gets a good run, nice compliance suspension on that car. And now he's going to tuck right in behind 4-time champion Kotyk as they work their way up the hill.
He didn't get a great run off of that. Allaer didn't quite. You look at Kotyk now. He's going to pop Honda versus Honda, but it looks like they're going to go 3 wide maybe. Allaer's looking for space. It isn't there.
Yeah, he's going to try to follow Ferguson, feeling that he's maybe got a little better chance to get there. No change in the order. It looked to me that the Hondas maybe with a little more torque coming off the turn, because they're able to pull Allaer coming off of Oak Tree, but then Allaer at the top end seems to have maybe a little more.
Well, here we go. 1, 2, 3 with Allaer in the Ford as the 3rd in the train. He's a little far back, I think, to get him at the line, but between the 2 Hondas, Kotyk should be able to have a nose ahead again with about 5 laps to go. This is how this plays out. Little draft, you pop out, you take the lead. Again, going back to Hayward's comment, leading at Hog Pen may not be where you want to be unless maybe you're Nolan Allaer.
Allaer late on the brakes,
Ooh.
and again taking advantage
Wow.
of that top end speed, I think, at the end of the straightaway.
Had beautiful braking for Allaer.
You betcha.
That was pretty.
Yeah, and he's going to have the inside line through NASCAR, and he's going to retake the lead. So 3rd to 1st for Nolan Allaer in this that single sequence of turns. Kotyk going to try to go back inside. He had to lock him up to avoid a collision as they go through the right-hander after left hook and now down into the snake.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're Allaer, you're probably thinking you want to lead off Oak Tree on the last lap.
Yep.
I think if you are Kotyk, you probably want to be in second. And I think Ferguson would love to be in second, maybe with a bit of a push from Kotyk. I think those two Hondas may have to work together to hold Allaer off on the last lap. They would love to see Allaer third coming off a hog pen on that last lap. Now, I'm sure they're all going through scenarios right now. They're calculating. They're on the radio with their teams. They're learning all these things. Of course, with Allaer, he's probably on the radio with his dad, part of that team as well. So let's see if they position themselves to be in those places coming off of that last corner the last time around coming off of Oak Tree. And flash back to this battle of Perona and Rivard. This is also a great battle here for 4th.
Yeah, they continue to duke it out as we see the top 3 staying single file at this point at least. Now Kotyk pops to the inside. Ferguson goes with him, and he's going to give him a little arrow push perhaps. But Allaer staying over to driver's left. He's going to have to relinquish the lead to Kotyk there, as Kotyk got that little extra push from Ferguson, and that put him into the front of this 3-car train.
Yeah, these cars don't push draft like a spec Ford would. You can't really make contact with these, but you can certainly get a bit of a drag reduction by having somebody behind you. But look at the motor on the Ford for Nolan Allaer. Look at him now. He gets a good exit here. Again, let's see if he can get past Kotyk before the stripe.
He's going to be side by side. Let's see if he's got enough to get to the line first, and he does, barely. So that.
Yeah.
Remember that in about 4 laps, as we'll see how this shakes out.
He's coming down to it.
Once again, late on the brakes is Nolan Allaer, and he's able to retake the lead. Kotyk in second, Ferguson in third. Oh, Zach Rivard off.
Oh, wow.
As he left his braking just a little bit too late coming into turn 1, as he was going to try to make the move on Perona. Looks like he's killed the motor, going to try to get it refired.
Oh, no. If you're under the front 3, okay, well, he is still running. If that motor had stalled and he couldn't get it restarted, that front 3 might be racing for the win. But it looks like a good job for Zach keeping that thing running, getting that thing out of there with no yellows or anything. We are good. But he just came down the inside, and you just can't brake that tight.
Yep.
And wasn't able to get it slowed down. Perona, great job to avoid him. He continues. Rivard's going to drop back to 5th and probably going to have a Calvin Couch nearby, if I had to guess.
Yeah, he outbraked himself, unfortunately, down into turn 1. Perona said, "Thank you very much. I'll take that," as we turn our attention back to this lead battle coming into Oak Tree. Allaer, Kotyk, and Ferguson in that order. Here they come, right out to the edge of the track. Now they'll line up single file.
See if the two Hondas can work together just a little bit. I don't see any hand signals coming out of them yet. Again, a lot of times, like you mentioned, that little wave, that little forward-back wave, so let's stay in line. Not seeing any of that. But I tell you, now they both pop inside to see if they can get Nolan, leaving him on the outside.
Same thing we saw when they took the lead a lap ago. Nolan trying to stay strong, but lets Kotyk get by him.
Well, make that note of that. Kotyk was able to use that bit of arrow push to get past Allaer on the back straight. Now let's watch again one more time. Who's got the guts to take hog pen and get to the stripe? Much better run this time for Kotyk. Not as good for Allaer as they had before. Allaer was just a nose ahead the last time they did this. As they come across with 3 laps to go, look at this. He's going to try and break a little draft. He's testing. He's testing to see, can he hold it before the stripe? And we are definitely suiting up here for a 2-way or 3-way photo finish.
This is what you call a dress rehearsal for the final lap of the race, as everybody's trying to figure out where they want to be on that final lap.
Look how tight the Kotyk has to go. Kotyk's going to go all the way to the inside, as Allaer wasn't giving him anything middle or outside of track. So Kotyk goes ahead. All right, fine, I'll take what I got. Ferguson's going to sit back and watch. Nobody playing the aggressor. Everybody playing the mature, patient driver. All right, well, they go through the snake again. So watch this replay here. There's a little puff of smoke that's coming out of the Ford of Allaer. I think that might be pretty normal. There it is.
Yeah.
Possibly a bit of a missed upshift going down that hill, and sometimes a little extra fuel just kind of puffs out the back of that carbureted motor. But he doesn't look like he's lost any sort of pace, as all 3 of them are tucked in line.
Yeah, just glued together as they come through South Bend right out to the edge of the track. You want to go to the edge, but not an inch over.
Yeah.
If you drop a wheel off into the dirt right there at the exit of South Bend, you're going for a ride. So here we go. The chess game once again being played as they climb the hill down Madison Avenue. Kotyk popping out earlier this time.
Same order they were the last time. We know how that went. One could get by, but not two. And if you're Ferguson, you got to know that you need to be in second if you want to win this race, but they're going to go 3 wide.
Ferguson changing his allegiances there as he popped out from behind Kotyk and thought, Allaer's got a lot of motor. Maybe I better follow him through.
Yeah. I don't think you can win this race if you're third if you don't drive a Ford. I think Allaer might be able to go third to first on the back straight. I don't think either of the Hondas can, and I know that those two drivers realize that. So there's a race for second going on for the next lap and a half.
Allaer didn't quite get the run off of Hogpen that he would have liked, and so he's going to have not quite the momentum coming down the front straightaway. But Ferguson, who's got the best of the two Hondas motor-wise, still can't get by him by the line. But he's going to try to force Allaer down to the inside and compromise his exit speed at turn 1. And Allaer outbrakes himself for the first time. He goes a little too deep on the brakes into turn 1 as we are now working race lap 14, excuse me.
Yeah, big mistake there for Allaer. Under brakes going in, he's got to be careful. He's going to have to go through there one more time when they get the white flag lap, but that was a big mistake where he gave up a lot of track position. The two Hondas are loving that. This is their test to see can they hold Allaer off coming off of Oak Tree, because they're looking to get 2 more shots. You got this one and then a white flag lap. The two Hondas are strategizing now, and they almost have to work together. They have no choice. I know it's all, well, each one for himself, but the two Hondas got to know that there's a difference here between what Allaer's got with that Ford and what each of the other two, Ferguson and Kotyk, have in their Hondas.
Of course, they've been good teammates, if you will, Honda teammates up to this point, but on the last lap, I think that's all going to go out the window. And so the cooperation will be something that we may not see.
As we call it, co-opetition sometimes. And these two have been a little bit of cooperating, but the competition side of that's about to come out. Great run for Allaer.
Yeah,
probably
no
the best
kidding.
we've seen in that with him in that Ford.
He's going to follow Kotyk this time. Actually, he's going to be able to pick and choose. Right now, he's behind Kotyk, but he can pop over and get behind Ferguson. He's going to go in second. Let's see.
Ferguson shoved that car back over. Did not want Allaer. A little bit of blocking going on.
Yep. Yeah, just a little.
Yeah, that's what the two Hondas are going to have to do. They're going to have to do a little bit of positioning. Blocking may be a tough word. They're going to have to do strategic car positioning to hold that line. They know they have one more chance off that Oak Tree to do it. We come around for the second to last time on Hog Pen. This is going to get dicey now. Now all bets are off. Everybody knows what position they need to be in. If you're Ferguson and if you're Kotyk, you need to be second or leading coming off the last corner. You can't be in third.
Here comes Allaer getting up into second spot. They've got a slower car in front of them. I believe that's the car of Perona. Or no, that's Robert Gross, excuse me, in the red Piper. Allaer's going to slot into second here. So he's a little more circumspect on his braking this time by.
He struggled on the brakes. I wonder if there's something going on there, a brake balance that he hasn't been able to adjust and get back. But either way, he's gotten his last time through turn 1. Doesn't have to worry about that corner anymore. He's got to worry about being second or in the lead, potentially coming off of Oak Tree on this lap. This is it. White flag is out. This is what they've been waiting for 14 times around. Now they know where they have to be. Can they all get to their respective positions? I can tell you, Ferguson is not happy being behind that Van Diemen of Allaer right now. He would love to have his nose in front. I wonder if he'll make a bit of a risky move here going up the hill or around South Bend to get to that spot.
Final time through the climbing S is 3 wide as Ferguson does just that, and that was a mistake. He thought he was going to try a bold move there, and unfortunately it has come to tears.
All right,
They've got a pretty big gap over Perona. If he can get it turned around, he might still be able to salvage a medal. But here we go. It's now a two-horse battle coming to the line.
Oh, I tell you what, Kotyk is A, happy that there is a car in front he can grab a draft, but B, he's unhappy he doesn't have the other one to help push him.
Yep.
Now that Ferguson's back, it's a mano-a-mano battle, and let's just see what Gross does. If he recognizes and sees the blue, he's going to try and get out of the way of this.
They go side by side as Allaer pulls out using the top end of that Kent motor. I think he's got it done, but they're going to stay side by side, and the slower traffic is going to definitely play a factor here as Kotyk had to check up to avoid getting into the back of Robert Gross.
Kotyk's got a drafting partner now in the name of Robert Gross out in front of him. This is going to be interesting. Can Kotyk use it to get to the stripe first?
Here they come. Allaer is right on his tail, and I think he might have the advantage here. Let's see what happens. Kotyk is going to try to avoid giving him the draft. Allaer pulls alongside. Can he out-drag him at the line? Kotyk trying to keep him away, but Allaer's going to get it done by half a car length.
Wow.
What a great race. Holy moly. And
I don't know if Kotyk's going to be happy that Gross is there because it gave him opportunities and gave him the little bit of mixing up going into the roller coaster, or maybe worried that maybe that just hurt him a little bit. But what a finish for Nolan Allaer. Just 51 thousandths ahead of Kotyk at the stripe. Let's catch a replay of this. And look how both drivers trying to use the red car as a draft. They nearly interlock wheels right there. And Allaer able to just keep his foot in it and just motor ahead.
yeah, I think Kotyk was trying to squeeze him off as close to the edge of the track there as he possibly could, but Allaer was having none of it, and he got it done. Man, what a fantastic finish. And in all that excitement, let's give a tip of the hat to Robert Perona, who with the problems for Ferguson with that spin, with that ill-advised attempt to make a pass there coming into the climbing S's, Perona able to take over third spot, and he'll have himself a medal.
Yeah, I want to say it's multiple podiums now for Perona.
Yeah, it's that'll be his third podium, all told, and his third place finish. He's got a pair of seconds, but this will be a bronze medal. And Nolan Allaer shaking his fist, doubled up here this weekend, taking the win in Continental, and now taking it in his uncle's car.
Yep, and in a Ford.
Absolutely.
For the first one since 2011, a Ford wins the runoffs.
12 years since that's happened.
He spent all summer long running British Formula Fords. I tell you, that experience is different tires and all, but the racecraft still comes in, and that's what that was. It's a whole, I know the motor looked like it was strong, but that's beautiful racecraft. Positioning, using the car in front, the run to the stripe, and beating Kotyk, a four-time national champion the last 5 years. That was two powerhouses there going heads up. Beautiful stuff. These guys ought to be proud for the show they just put on.
Yeah, Nolan Allaer, mature beyond his years and showing, like you said, that racecraft getting the job done as he's going to follow Robert Gross down into the pit lane. Here's
Fast
your
cool-down lap.
Yeah, you bet. Here's your unofficial finishing order. Nolan Allaer taking his second gold medal of the runoffs. Jonathan Kotyk by 62 thousandths of a second, finishing second. William Ferguson up into, Robert Perona up into third spot. The graphic is not quite right. Perona taking third spot. Calvin Kautz comes home in fourth. William Ferguson fading to fifth at the end. Zachary Rivard in sixth. Matt Boyan in seventh. And Robert Gross just stayed on the lead lap and came home in the 8th place.
So for our winner, two gold medals this week. And so now he's got one more than Dad. And so a little bit of bragging rights there in the Allaer household.
Exactly.
Rob, I'm sure, hopefully he's in tears. I can't wait to see a proud papa here. He got to watch his son win right in front of him when they took 1-2 in FC yesterday. Now he gets to watch him from the outside. And look how happy.
Look at Nolan. He is just overwhelmed. That is so great to see. As he's going to take a minute to climb out of the car. Getting out of a single-seater is a little more involved. He's got to unplug the radio and get the steering wheel off, get the head restraints unhooked as they are working their way to get himself loose. But he is still dazed and amazed, I am sure, as he climbs out of this machine to celebrate. The grid crew right there to put the gold medal around Nolan Allaer for the second time, thanking his uncle's car. I'm sure he's got a lot of emotions here, not only for the race that he just ran, but the history of the car and the motor.
He had a chance to spend another week over in the UK running some special races. Wanted to be here at the runoffs, wanted to do this. He wanted to win golds at the runoffs. It was very important to him. It matters.
Let's go down to the third member of our broadcast team, Hayward Wagner, who's got a very happy winner.
All right, Nolan's getting all the gear off. We're going to give him the gold medal, his second gold medal of the weekend. Another national championship hat. Nolan, you looked pretty happy after the Continental race, but this one looks a little different. What makes this so special?
This is something that we've been thinking about all year. I'm sure you've heard that we were over in the UK racing Formula Ford, so shout out to Team Ammonite over there for everything I've learned this year. But we've had our eyes on this Formula Ford title all year. This is what I go to bed thinking about. I'm just so unbelievably thrilled. Polestar gave me an incredible car. Steve Knapp and Elite Engines gave me a monster motor. It was just such an incredible experience.
Talk about from the top of roller coaster to the flag on the last lap.
that was something else. Honestly, I might have blacked out a little bit. I don't even remember what happened, but I just knew that there was that car there that he was going to try and use as a pick. I just didn't know when he was going to do it, if he was going to try and use it on the straight or into roller coaster, hog pen, and he decided to let it wait to the line. And without that pick, I wouldn't have had a draft to get by him on the line. So that's just a moving game of chess. Is just absolutely incredible.
Well, congratulations to you. I'm guessing that you got a proud papa on the wall over here, maybe some other folks you want to thank.
Yeah, of course, I'd like to thank my mom for coming out here to watch me. I'd like to thank Lockmore Promotions, Martini, Sean Don, Evan Williams for making it possible to be out here. I'd like to thank the Team Pelfrey team, Jeff Busher and Jessica, for teaching me everything I know about racing Formula Fords. I have a million people that I can thank, but I already thank they know. I did. Thank you, though. My dad trying to tell me who to thank. But
The parenting never stops, does it?
no, it doesn't. No, he wants more TV time. Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you, sir. You will get more TV time on your victory lap. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Hayward. You can tell how much this means to Nolan, as they've been plotting to make this one happen all season long. Racing on both sides of the Atlantic.
Yeah, just incredible. And he just was so precise. That battle he and Kotyk put on out there was just incredible. William Ferguson was a part of that. Unfortunately, he had to make a move. He knew what he needed to do. It didn't pan out, but leaving this mano-a-mano battle right down to the wire, literally less than a tenth of a second between them. So much fun. One
of the best races we've had all weekend. We certainly got our money's worth on this one. Let's head back down to Hayward. He's got the rest of our podium.
Jonathan, a very impressive drive, a great race, but it looks like this one ended in frustration for you.
Oh, it's okay. We're winning first in class. I mean, I can't beat a $500,000 race car that his uncle has that's got 10 horsepower on the field. But the car was good. Got to thank Team Pelfrey, Carbotech, Hoosier Tires, Elite Engines, Mom and Dad, Jeff, Jessica, and everyone that supported me to get me to this point.
Well, congratulations on the silver, and we're going to bring Bob up and talk to him about the bronze.
Thank you.
Bob, this was you made an honest effort at the spin to win, but it comes in with a bronze. How was this race for you?
I mean, I'm happy to be third. Honestly, it's been a rough week, and I haven't done many laps. So, yeah, I mean, I lost track of these guys, Zachary and I racing, and once the draft was gone, you're kind of dead. So then I knew racing with Zachary, I figured that was the race for third because I didn't think that these three were going to make it. Because I was kind of had a good view of it in front of me. So I'm really happy to be on the podium. And we'll come back next year and try again, I guess.
Congratulations. We'll see you at where are we going next? Road America.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Jonathan Kotyk obviously disappointed, feeling
disappointed, but it's a disappointing little frustration, and I'm sure his clear head will come back and he'll look back at it and say that was just a fun race.
Yeah, absolutely right. As we get the highlights here in the first run down to the first turn, Allaer from the pole, and there's Ferguson and Kotyk. Those three were going to be a factor all race long. As Allaer getting a nice jump, Kotyk moving by into second spot as the field lines up single file. Zach Rivard with the eventual third place finisher, Robert Perona right there. Rivard makes a little mistake on cold tires, lets Ferguson get by. Later in the race, once again, this is when Allaer made that mistake late in the race, outbraked himself into turn one. That allowed Ferguson to take over the point. And then here was Ferguson making a last lap dive down into the inside as they entered the climbing S's. Just wasn't room for three cars there. And then with the lapped car of Robert Gross right in front, this duel into the roller coaster on the final lap. Kotyk deep on the brakes, trying to get it done. But Allaer sticks right on his gearbox. And as they come off the line, Allaer, knowing he had a little advantage of the motor, pulls to the outside. Kotyk trying to block, but he couldn't get it done. And by just that much, Nolan Allaer takes his second gold medal. And like I say, they've been concentrating on this Formula F win, and they got the job done. What a great race.
That was a really good race. Very calculated. Nolan talked about it, the chess match, just playing out back and forth. And in the end, he's going to get his second gold medal of the weekend. Unbelievable.
We're going to break for lunch at this point. And for those of you on the stream, hang on, because we'll have the Inside the SCCA halftime show with Brian Belansky, Greg Ginsburg, and Laura Brailer coming up during the lunch break. And we'll be back with you just a little past 1 o'clock Eastern time for STU as Greg Kramer and Tommy O'Gorman will be bringing that one to you. So until then, thanks so much for being with us for this coverage of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, the 60th running, and we'll see you down the road.
Mazda's been very supportive of racers within the SCCA and all the other grassroots organizations for many, many years. Really, their support for racing and our type of racing is unmatched from any other manufacturer. They've been a great partner for many, many years.
Mazda, hands down, is the best company to work with for sports car racing. Factory support is second to none. It just feels right. You feel connected.